Welcome to the annual convocation of Claremont McKenna College. You may stand virtually if you choose. I'll try not to be too long, but I did graduate from the college with a poli-sci and an econ major. I am an ordained minister and a lawyer and a politician, so you're on your own. Convocation officially begins the academic year at CMC. And what a strange world and strange times by which to begin such an admirable pursuit. At a time when we're facing the most significant health pandemic in our generation, COVID-19 has changed life as we know it and continues to bring a new reality to our nation and to the world. And at a time when the circumstances of unarmed Black deaths at the hands of law enforcement has given rise to a renewed claim that indeed Black lives do matter, as does our collective capacity to right a wrong in this nation. And not just stopping there, but engaging our collective humanity in a search to right the wrongs of America's history in a way that strengthens us as a nation of the whole, of its people, all of its people, pulling in one direction, pulling together, working together. Your generation and mine certainly has our work cut out for us, but you, future graduates of Claremont McKenna, are the ones being thrust into the laboratories that will become the proving ground for the strategies that will propel this nation and the world forward. As you are now experiencing, those laboratories are changing to accommodate how learning occurs in a COVID world. But thank God for the consistencies that are built into the fabric of what Claremont College is and does best. A world-class faculty dedicated to reimagining how learning is delivered with innovation that maintains the integrity of the learning space while providing for the engaged interaction that makes Claremont McKenna a special place, a laboratory of enlightened engagement and learning. A dedicated and a loyal staff that is committed to each and every one of you and has worked incredibly smart and hard to provide an academic and social environment to safely maximize your learning and engagement opportunities in this new environment. But from you, Claremont McKenna students, will come the truth that speaks to power. But from you will come the boldness to engage this laboratory of learning and concoct those strategies that will lead our country into the light, embrace all that is good, and leave behind that which should be left behind. What a tall order, but what a capable student body. Okay, we're here. Now a word of prayer. Let us unite our hearts in prayer. Oh God, how wonderful the works of your hands. As we have gathered here to celebrate the beginning of a new academic year and celebrate our students as they step forward to examine new places, encounter new experiences, and embrace new and traditional learnings. We pray blessings on this school, which will give them a safe place to learn, a place where freedom of ideas flourish, and a strong foundation is laid by which they will launch into the world to create a better place. We pray blessings and give thanks to our instructors and our administrators who will richly care for our students while being truly cognizant of the nurturing and the care required to groom the leadership of a new generation. As our students start a new academic year, we ask for your grace and anointing. Your grace and anointing to make their choices wise and to be faithful in their commitments. The grace and anointing to turn away from injustice and turn toward justice, equality, and peace. The grace and anointing to avoid foolishness. The foolishness to believe that you cannot make a difference in this world and to do the things others say cannot be done. Good luck to you all. May God bless you, and amen.
Thank you, Tim, for such inspirational words. Good afternoon. Thank you all and welcome to our convocation for the 2020-2021 academic year. Before we begin to enter another powerful cycle of productive experience, responsive reflection, and higher, broader, deeper learning here at the college, we honor the special milestones of service and recognize those whose contributions have earned significant awards. We hear from Professor George Thomas and Student Body President Johnson Lin, and we sing our college song about how civilization prospers through commerce and the exchange of values and ideas. We call ourselves together at the beginning of each year in a special moment. Before I set the table for this unprecedented year, I want to welcome each and every one of you, students, faculty, staff, trustees, alumni, families, and our entire CMC community, especially our first year and new transfer students and their families. We're thrilled to have you and to be together. I also want to express our collective support for those of you most directly affected by so many current crises in our world. COVID-19, economic dislocation, racial violence, the fires, the storms, an unimaginable coincidence of severe challenges. It is hard to absorb it all. But as this has had a direct impact on many in our community, we must share the burden by taking care of one another. In light of those challenges, and over the past 5 months, I've been giving a great deal of thought to what it means, what it could mean for us to be in this moment. Professor Thomas has too, and he'll put the theme in a broader historical context later for us in our program. This inquiry and your answer will shape everything we do during this unprecedented academic year. Every moment, our moment, is doubly charged with the past that shapes it and the future it anticipates. The past does not dictate the present, and the present does not fully determine the future. Each moment is part of the temporal continuum, yes, but the present need not merely replicate the past or predetermine any particular promise or hazard down the road. Within the structural forces outside of our immediate control, the powerful determinants that shape history and yes, that frequently frustrate the future ambition of our free human agency, there's always a small space left for us, for each of us. An opening only we can fill, a word or line in the story only we can write, a computation in the formula that only we can calculate, a moment, our moment. So, how will we avoid the worst and make the best of our time? Today, this year, and years later when we look back at now, what is the story we would like to be able to tell about how we responded to COVID-19, the persistence of racism, the challenges to our democracy, our economy, our climate, and not only how we responded, but most essentially what we learned as individuals, as a community, a college, a society, a civilization. What contributions will we each have made? The answer to this question both stands above and undergirds everything we want to do right now. Within it, from a point in the future looking back, we find a special purpose to inspire us to learn through unprecedented challenges. Here we can't know the future, but we can face it, and face it with confidence. Confidence built on evidence of how we responded the past few months. The sudden, sad, safe, successful departure from our campus last March, the immediate pivot to continue learning together. the adjustments, the generous support, the resilience, the creative ways in which students put learning to work this past summer. A record 524 sponsored internships and experiences, phenomenal levels of support for our graduating seniors, the innovative curricular designs and generous accommodations made by our faculty, tutorials, projects, distributed labs, extra sessions to manage significant time differences, the fierce dedication of our staff and faculty to reach out to build community, the town halls, the workshops, the book clubs, the advisory sessions, emails, texts, Zooms, daily wellness check-ins, and the close social connections forged even when we were apart. The ongoing college commitment to persevere in a world of unimaginable cost, uncertain risk, and financial loss, to protect the well-being of each and every member of our community, and to absorb and share those costs as fully and fairly as we possibly can. And the remarkable response of our students and families, over 1,260 joining us this fall, who chose not to wait it out on the sidelines, and instead are here to learn and have fun on a new field of play this semester. Based on this record of accomplishment and commitment to our community, we should each be confident we can respond to whatever the world throws at us this year. And we know we will not be perfect. We will have to make special efforts to help those who have it tougher than we do. We know we will get through it and grow stronger, closer together, and yet just internalizing our shared costs and commitments won't be enough. Our imaginative, effective adaptations will not be enough. We must also see big opportunity in the difficulty. We must drive this year to make long strides on our most ambitious projects and initiatives. Yes, to learn from the unique experience and take every innovation forward, but even more critically to keep focused on our vision for the future. By the end of this academic year, as an institution, as a community, I believe we will be able to tell a story about how we overcame and achieved our goals, attracted new resources to support every aspect of our liberal arts and leadership program, including the humanities, advanced the commitments of our Open Academy, and launched and fully embedded in the social and intellectual fabric of the institution the Presidential Initiative on Anti-Racism and the Black Experience in America. Took major strides in realizing our ambitious programmatic and campus vision for integrated sciences and computation. Expanded opportunities for our students through strong levels of financial support and the rich array of Sol Center experiences, internships, and programs. So my question to each of you is this: students, faculty, staff, trustees, alumni, parents, friends, what role will you each play? Which contributions will you each make? What are the stories you will be able to tell? The special moments of insight and inspiration, care and support, the experiences and lessons through which we learned how to overcome the challenges for which we were all unprepared. We know that COVID-19 exposes and exacerbates our greatest vulnerabilities. And we also know that terrible plagues often trigger big structural changes in the societies that suffer. Can we find ways this year to do more than just manage through, even when that is tough enough? Can we exercise the leadership we all need in small and big ways? Can we zag when the world is zigging? Can we do more than just respond to the moment? Can we seize it, make it our own? We can, and we must. So, as we come together in Convocation today, let's answer the question. Think of all the stories we will write together this year, stories that will give purpose to our learning together, stories that will make a difference in our own lives and those of others. Thanks to all of you for co-authoring this, our moment. And now, to recognize the special staff for years of service, I turn it over to our Vice President of Business and Chief Operating Officer, Corrine Rogers. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Corrine Rogers, and I am the Vice President of Business and Chief Operating Officer here at CMC. And today I have the absolute privilege of publicly recognizing some of our wonderful faculty and staff members who are celebrating milestone years of service with the college. And in a moment, I will share their names and their stories with you. But first, with so much of our community watching together today, I want to take this rare opportunity to put a spotlight on just how incredible the staff community is here at Claremont McKenna. And whether you're a returning student or just completing your first ever week of college classes, a professor or staff member, chances are you've already had the occasion to be impressed by the high caliber, genuinely caring individuals at all levels of our organization who keep our campus and programs running every day. The past several months, even as we grappled with the impacts of the pandemic in our own lives, our staff collectively rose to this unprecedented occasion. Many of us have been working from home since March and grappling with all the challenges that come with that. But many others have remained on campus for a long period of time to support our students as they packed to move and dealt with the disappointments and uncertainties caused by this pandemic, to prepare meals for those who remained, to support an enormous volume of new technological needs as instruction transitioned online and staff began telecommuting, and to keep our facilities safe and beautiful. I'd be remiss if I did not especially thank a few individuals who were designated critical on-site personnel and have continued to report to work full-time on campus these past 6 months. To all of you, I'm so impressed, grateful, and inspired by your professionalism, creativity, and resilience. And having witnessed our staff come together to tackle so many complex and novel issues, I have every confidence that we will move forward together to face whatever challenges lie ahead. So here are the individuals we want to single out and celebrate today. First, celebrating 25 years of service, Cheryl Aguilar. Cheryl is the Special Assistant to the President. She joined CMC's Advancement Office in 1995, and she's held several positions working with development and college leadership. Cheryl has the opportunity to work directly with two dynamic CMC presidents, now Hiram Chodosh and prior Pamela Gann. She is proud of the significant achievements and growth at the college under their leadership. Manfred Kyle. Manfred received his PhD in economics from the London School of Economics and has been working at Claremont McKenna since 1995. He's a professor of economics and former chair of the faculty in the Robert Day School of Economics and Finance. He lectures in macroeconomics, statistics, and econometrics. Professor Kyle also is the Associate Director of the Lowe Institute for Political Economy and leads a research staff of student RAs to provide forecasting analysis for the Inland Empire. Devon Lopez. Devon started working at CMC in January of 1995 in student accounts, where she worked as a cashier for 15 years. In 2009, she moved to the financial aid office as a financial aid coordinator and then counselor, and she's been on the Student Appeals Committee for almost 20 years. The accomplishment she's most proud of is her drive to help others achieve their educational dreams by working hard and staying focused on our students, especially during challenging times. Ron Riggio. Ron's titles have included Director of the Kravis Leadership Institute for 14 years, Associate Dean of the Faculty for 3 years, Chair of Department of Psychological Science, Honorary Member of the CMC Alumni Association, and he's a CMC parent, class of 2010. Ron enjoys working with students on research projects, helping build summer internship programs, and seeing students go on to terrific careers. And he's most proud of helping build the Kravis Leadership Institute into a world-renowned center for leadership research and education. Ray Rotolo. Ray is the Senior Director of Planned Giving, and he came to CMC in 1995 as the Assistant Director of Planned Giving, and then became the Director of the program in November of 2008. March 1st, 2020 marked his 26th year at CMC. Ray loves having the opportunity to help individuals be generous in ways they may have never thought possible, and he's proud of the fact that his office has been so successful in raising life income gifts and charitable trusts. And now celebrating 30 years of service, John Farrell. John has been an assistant and associate professor at CMC and was tenured in 1996. He is the Waldo Nykerk Professor of Literature, and he has twice chaired the Literature Department. He has served on many faculty committees and chaired the Administration Committee and the Writing Committee. He's inspired by discussing essential questions with intellectually ambitious students, and his favorite moments at CMC have taken place mostly in the classroom, in the AF, and at commencement. Rafael Hjorika. Rafael is a building attendant, and his love of CMC is evident in the attention and care he shows the campus as he fulfills his duties. Rafael cherishes the connection he's made with many students over the years, and he works hard to provide them with a clean and safe environment to learn and grow. Cynthia Humes. Cynthia is the Associate Vice President and Chief Technology Officer, and also an Associate Professor of Religious Studies. Over the years, she sought to expand the reach of technology at the college and has been so successful. She's created a department we can all lean on, and it provides us the best possible services that they can. It brings her great personal joy when she can help her fellow faculty achieve success. And as a professor, her research involves many areas of Hinduism, including models of religious leadership, religions of South Asia, Hinduism in America, religion, politics, goddess worship, and gender. And now celebrating 35 years of service, John Ferranda. John is our ambassador at large. He graduated from Claremont McKenna College in 1979, and after graduating, he joined the CMC Alumni Association Board of Directors and became a member of the CMC staff in '85. Since then, he's been involved in all types of aspects of alumni and parent relations, fundraising, and board activities. For more than 30 years, John has also served as the Claremont Mud Scripps sailing coach, and he's the proud faculty advisor to the Claremont Cougar Men's Lacrosse Club. Ralph Rossum. Ralph is the Henry Salvatori Professor of American Constitutionalism at Claremont McKenna College and a member of the faculty of CGU. He earned his MA and PhD from the University of Chicago, and he's the author or co-author of 12 books. His passion for the American founding is evident and often noted by his students, that he truly makes American history come alive through his instruction. Terry Ruiz. Terry is our housekeeping supervisor, and she started working for CMC in 1985. She began at CMC as a lead and then was quickly promoted to the housekeeping supervisor. Her assignment was to clean many of our dorms, Appleby and Green Hall, and supervise Headblade, McKenna Auditorium, Seaman Hall, Adams Hall. It was a challenge, and she's always risen to the occasion. It's been her great honor to work with students and her peers, and her entire housekeeping team takes as much pride in their work as she does. Thank you, Terry. And celebrating 40 years of service at Claremont McKenna College, Mark Massoud. Mark is the Robert Day Distinguished Professor of Accounting. He has enjoyed participating and working with students through several organizations over the years, including being the longtime Claremont Accounting Association's faculty advisor. His favorite thing over 4 decades has been to watch his students grow in confidence and fulfill their personal and academic potential, and to watch the tremendous evolution of the college itself. He's been blessed during his time at CMC and is particularly proud to have won 13 Huntoon Teaching Awards, voted by our students, and the CMC Presidential Merit Award. Nick Warner. In addition to serving as Literature Department Chair at various times and chairing several committees over the decades, Nick has also served as the Associate Dean of the Faculty and Interim Dean of the Faculty. Nick is proud of having helped with the hires of some of our most outstanding young faculty members at the college when working in administration. And many things inspire him to be a better instructor, but he feels most inspired every time he walks into the classroom at the beginning of a new semester, just like now. And he can't wait until we will all be able to do that again, to be in the same room, in the same time zone, faculty and students together. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you on behalf of the entire CMC community for your contributions to our college over the years.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Emily Wiley, and I'm an Associate Dean of the Faculty. There is no way to start this new academic year without a special celebration of the faculty. None of us were trained for the massive disruption to our curriculum that happened last spring, quickly forced on us by a global pandemic. To meet the challenge of that moment, faculty quickly dug in and turned their attention to rethinking their courses and using completely new approaches to teach virtually in the most effective ways possible on very short notice. This required time in webinars and workshops, learning and testing new technologies, and learning new ways to interact with students on a screen. In that time, we learned a great deal about what works and what does not. But that learning and imagining what is possible did not stop at the end of spring. Instead, this summer, it escalated. Instead of diving into their research as a normal summer would have, faculty used much of the summer to essentially go back to school themselves to study up on best practices for online teaching. They attended more workshops, formed groups to brainstorm and exchange new ideas, and provided feedback to each other. All of this with the aim of preparing exciting, impactful, inclusive classes for this fall semester that we now begin. The challenges that faculty faced in the spring, combined with their deep commitment to providing an exceptional education for our students, inspired the many teaching innovations and courses that you will now get to experience. These innovations are aimed at creating the close teaching, learning, and mentoring relationships with faculty and peers, and the get-to-know-you moments that are a hallmark of the small courses at CMC and CMC academics more broadly. The innovations are focused on engaging you in class activities, or work on teams to solve problems, or work on projects to produce something with meaning and impact, or they will challenge you to think in more interdisciplinary ways. Importantly, the innovations focus on the opportunities that a virtual learning mode provides. All of the faculty have worked tirelessly to prepare themselves for this semester, for this academic year. All of us are ready and excited about the promising innovations we have developed, centered on the students that we want to teach and see grow. All of us are ready to be the teachers, mentors, advisors, and colleagues necessary to make this community of learning that is ours function at the highest levels, even in these challenging times. We would not be here today with a great class of incoming first-year students and returning students, a rich curriculum, and a wide range of learning opportunities outside of the classroom without the amazing efforts that the great faculty of CMC put into this work all summer. Although we are not in person together, the faculty are still here to show their support and be honored for their work. And now I get the honor of introducing the new tenured and tenure track faculty who have already jumped in to engage this work. Jordan Branch joins us as a new assistant professor of government. Nishant Das joins us as a new associate professor of economics. Ryan Fahey joins us as a new assistant professor of physical education and head men's soccer coach. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Hayden is our new professor of military science. Gabrielle Johnson joins us as an assistant professor of philosophy. Marina Munkin joins us as a new assistant professor of physical education and head cross-country coach. And Chanel Murchison joined us in January as a new assistant professor of physical education and head women's basketball coach. Welcome, new faculty.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shauna Levin, professor of psychology and one of the associate deans of the faculty. It is my pleasure to recognize the winners of last year's faculty awards. Last year's winner of the Crocker Award was Professor of Psychology, Dan Krause. This prize is awarded to the professor selected by fellow faculty members as having made the greatest service contributions to the college that year. Last year, faculty members across the college singled out Professor Krause for his valuable service as a member of the APT Executive Committee, on which he served even during his sabbatical, and as liaison between APT and Administration Committee as they worked on our science initiative. Professor Krause is also known for his deep mentorship of students and junior faculty, effective leadership in the psychological science department, and major service contributions to athletics. As one faculty nominator commented, Dan is a tireless servant of the college and department, always striving to make this place better. Congratulations, Professor Krause. Last year's G. David Huntoon Senior Teaching Award went to Wagner Family Professor of Comparative Politics and George R. Roberts Fellow, Asima Sinha. This prize is awarded annually to a full professor selected by a committee who reviews nominations from juniors and seniors. Professor Sinha teaches courses on South Asia, social movements, globalization and developing countries, and comparative politics. She also teaches in the PPE major. She is known by all to be a phenomenal educator who cares deeply about her students and wants to see them learn, grow, and succeed. One student said, "I absolutely loved her class. I have never learned more in any other class I have taken, and Professor Sinha is absolutely amazing." Congratulations, Professor Sinha. Last year, the winner of the Glenn R. Huntoon Award for Superior Teaching was an associate professor of literature who joined CMC only 1 year earlier, Professor Derek Smith. This award is given annually to the faculty member chosen from a list of nominees submitted by the entire student body as Outstanding Teacher of the Year. Professor Smith teaches courses on African American literature and autobiography, hip-hop poetics, and American prison texts, and FWS courses on race and Blackness in American cinema. A student commented that Professor Smith's class was the best, most interesting, and most engaging class I have ever been a part of. And Professor Smith's knowledge, passion, and attitude toward the subject and its teaching are unparalleled. Congratulations, Professor Smith. Last year's Faculty Scholarship Award went to Professor of Mathematics, Sam Nelson. This prize is awarded annually by a faculty committee to recognize outstanding research, scholarship, or creative work at CMC. One of the faculty members who nominated Professor Nelson for the award said it all. He is the world expert in all topics related to quandles and biquandles, and has published an astounding 79 research papers. He has worked with 40 undergraduate student co-authors and counting. He is not only a top-notch researcher, widely admired for his creativity and expertise, he also places equal emphasis on teaching and training undergraduates to collaborate in his research. Indeed, he embodies the ideal of a CMC professor, placing equal emphasis on teaching and research. The rest of the CMC faculty could not agree more. Congratulations, Professor Nelson. The winner of the Dean's Distinguished Service Award last year was Kerb Family Associate Professor of Business and Law and George R. Roberts Fellow, Josh Rosette. This prize is awarded by the Dean of Faculty in recognition of significant service to the college. During his 6-year tenure as director of the Financial Economics Institute, Professor Rosette supported as many as 40 students a year to conduct high-quality research with faculty. He brought crucial data to student and faculty research projects and organized networking trips, conferences, and speakers. He did an enormous amount of work for external reviews. In the words of the Dean of Faculty, it is a massive job, and Josh has done it with his customary care, kindness, commitment, and effectiveness. He is a man whom I have come to admire because of his integrity, his commitment to the college, his commitment to students, and his reliability. Congratulations to Professor Rosette, and again to all of our faculty award winners. I am pleased to introduce our convocation speaker, George Thomas, Burnett C. Wolford Professor of American Political Institutions. Professor Thomas came to CMC in 2007. Since then, he has been the Legal Studies Program Coordinator, PPE Program Coordinator, and now Director of the Salvatore Center for the Study of Individual Freedom in the Modern World. He is a member of Phi Beta Kappa Tau of California at CMC. Professor Thomas is a prolific scholar with a deep commitment to student learning. He teaches the PPE Politics Tutorial and Seminar, Constitutional Law, and a new mini course this semester on race and the Constitution. His scholarly areas of expertise are American constitutionalism, American political thought, constitutional law, and the Supreme Court. He has published several books, a constitutional law casebook, and over 25 journal articles, book chapters, and essays on these topics. For one article, he received the American Political Science Association's Alexander George Award for the best article on qualitative methods. In his role as director of the Salvatore Center, Professor Thomas reaches across disciplines to spark research collaborations, promote the dissemination of scholarly work in academic presentations and publications, and engage the campus community in relevant, timely discussions around topics such as civil liberties, civic engagement, and free speech, which make him an ideal speaker for today's convocation. Please join me in welcoming Professor George Thomas.
President Chodosh, Dean Uven, members of the board, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and parents, welcome as Claremont McKenna begins its 75th year. Let me extend a particular welcome to our incoming first years and their families. If I can borrow a bit from Edmund Burke, we can think of CMC as a partnership between the living, the dead, and the to be born. You might think the bit about the to be born is a stretch, but development almost certainly has its eye on them. The serious point is that an institution like CMC is the work of generations. Let's welcome first years into this partnership. You benefit from an extended community of those who have come before you. We're delighted you're taking your first steps with us as you transition to adulthood, and we eagerly look forward to your contributions. It's an odd beginning to the year for us all. I remember sitting in a meeting surrounded by students in March, 2 days before Friday the 13th, as it happens, when the college announced we would have to move online for the rest of the semester. We knew it was the right decision, but it was awful all the same. We were heartened by the thought that it would be temporary. As we said our goodbyes, we all looked forward to seeing one another in person in the fall, when we would pick up normal life at CMC. That's not exactly how it worked out. You've heard, I'm sure, that you're living in an historical moment. It feels weighty in ways that can be overbearing. It can also seem like a flood of one damn thing after another that you cannot begin to sort out or think through. I want to talk about what it means to be living history. Perhaps the most jarring thing about living history is not knowing what's on the other side. The uncertainty of it all. When you're living through history, you don't know how it turns out. And you don't know, in part, because it depends on the sort of things you do at that moment. We have a tendency to speak of the inevitability of history with a capital H, as if we're just along for the ride. We tend to speak as if what's right is historically inevitable, as if the hard work were done and we're just waiting for history to catch up. I want to disabuse you of this notion. How history turns out depends on what we do and how we live. The path doesn't materialize until we take it. This can be daunting, but it's always been the human condition. Let me indulge in a bit of constitutional history. Imagine Frederick Douglass, born enslaved in 1818. He escaped from insufferable human bondage, having no idea whether he'd make it. From moment to moment, he didn't know what would happen next. Disguised as a sailor, he traveled from Baltimore to New York by train, boat, and ferry. When he entered the streets of New York, he said to himself, "I am a free man." But it was a precarious freedom. He was always at risk. His future as a free man was radically uncertain. Yet Douglass persisted. 6 years after he escaped to freedom, he was formally emancipated when supporters in England purchased him from his former owner. Consider that ugly truth. A free man by right, certainly free in mind and soul, had to be bought so that he could lawfully be free. Securing his own freedom was not enough for Douglass. In writings like Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, and his public speeches, he would come to teach his country the meaning of self-government, that it inexorably rested on the idea of human equality. He forced his country to reckon with its original sin of enslaving human beings. In doing so, he shaped the constitutional understandings of statesmen like Abraham Lincoln. Douglass's recent biographer, David Blight, argues that his journey began when he learned to read. Teaching blacks, free or enslaved, was forbidden by Maryland law. Beyond the law, Douglass's owner forbid it, because knowledge would make him unfit in mind and body for human bondage. Being prohibited from reading, from acquiring knowledge, was, Douglass recalled in his autobiography, akin to the first anti-slavery lecture he'd ever witnessed. He found a form of liberation in his learning, which he shared with others, teaching enslaved blacks to read, using Noah Webster's spelling book, the Columbian Orator, and the Bible, where in secret they would come to learn the power of education and its link to freedom. Douglass's mastery of language and rhetoric came out most fully in his demands for freedom and equality, in his brilliant enseering, "What to the slave is the 4th of July," delivered with profound irony on July 5th, 1852. He turned a traditional Independence Day speech in Rochester, New York, into a powerful indictment of American democracy. He highlighted the disharmony between a nation that aspires to freedom and equality and the brutal reality of slavery. Speaking to a largely white audience, Douglass insisted, "The Declaration of Independence is the ring bolt to the chain of your nation's destiny. The principles contained in that instrument are saving principles. Stand by those principles. Be true to them on all occasions, in all places, against all foes, and at whatever cost." Turning to his own position as a black American, Douglass continued, "The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. To those enslaved and denied citizenship because they were black, the 4th of July was a day that reveals to him, more than all the other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim." Douglass was following a long tradition of black Americans forgotten by history, who turned to the Declaration's principles to criticize slavery and to expose American hypocrisy. Acting as citizens, a status they were all too often denied by law, they claimed the promise of equality and demanded their fellow Americans recall the language of their creed. All men are created equal. 5 years after Douglass's speech, the Supreme Court formally declared that blacks, free or enslaved, could not be citizens of the United States. In the wake of the Dred Scott decision, Douglass insisted that slavery had mastered the Constitution. But rather than understanding the Constitution as a pro-slavery document, a position he could have easily taken up, Douglass insisted that properly understood, with equality at its core, it was in essence anti-slavery. The arguments Douglass made helped shape the overarching logic of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. Amendments that abolished slavery, bestowed citizenship, guaranteed the equal protection of the laws, and granted blacks the right to vote. It was a step to formally completing the incomplete Constitution of 1787 when it came to racial equality. When Douglass escaped from enslavement, he had his courage, his character, and his self-education. He had no idea his path would take him so far. He could not have known the footprint he would leave on history or his country. Triumphantly, he witnessed an emergent new birth of freedom. Tragically, it was a fleeting moment. Douglass lived to see this triumph erased with the entrenchment of Jim Crow and white supremacy, formalized in constitutional law with the court's decision in Plessy v. Ferguson, decided a year after Douglass died. Pause to let that sink in. To read Douglass is to have your conscience seared, to be swayed, awed, overwhelmed by his words. But Douglas's cause did not triumph in his lifetime. Despite the justice of his cause, there was nothing inevitable about the historical outcome. Words on parchment are not enough on their own. It should be a reminder to us that democracy is not inevitable. It is the work of generations. It depends not only on the formalities of law, but our own attitudes and actions to carry it forward. Yet let me offer you something more uplifting. Today, when we consider constitutional questions of equality, freedom, and citizenship, Douglas has had a lasting impact on our thinking. He has certainly had a more profound influence on our understanding of equality and citizenship than Chief Justice Roger Taney, the author of the Dred Scott decision, a shameful decision the country would prefer to forget. Looking back, Douglas's understandings can seem inevitable precisely because they have shaped our thinking. But they were not. They were fashioned by the hard work of building a more perfect union. Douglas's ideas gave hope to many others as they continued the difficult work of bringing the promise of American ideals into line with reality, especially when it comes to racial equality. In the face of uncertainty and overwhelming odds, like Douglas, they persisted. I hope your liberal arts education at CMC will help you understand the subtlety and complexity of history. I hope it will allow you to better understand the present by having a sense of the past. More than that, I hope your liberal arts education will nourish your freedom of mind, even as it impresses on you a sense of obligation for shaping the world we inhabit and share in the steps you take each day. Before concluding, let me say a few more words about liberal arts education. While the world swirls around you, I hope you on occasion remove yourself from it. I hope you take these precious years, a gift like nothing else you'll ever be given, to hold the outside world at bay just a bit. Spend some time reading literature, debating philosophy, or exploring physics, for no other reason that it's fascinating. Put your phone away, take a break from social media, and take time to get to know yourself. Yet I say this because I think liberal arts education can better equip you to think about the problems the world is facing, precisely because it allows you to get some distance from them. It allows you to better understand the world you inhabit, because it does not take things like human equality and democracy for granted. Studying philosophy, history, and government will illuminate that these were ideas that had to be earned across time. They remain in need of a defense. We forget that at our peril. At its best, liberal arts education is training for democratic citizenship. The virtues of liberal education mirror the characteristics required of democratic citizens: the ability to grasp and evaluate arguments and evidence, and to articulate and defend ideas in a reasoned manner. Liberal arts education will also help you see the world through another's eyes, a gift of sight that will forever change your vision. It can make the things we assume seem strange and unfamiliar. In my constitutional law courses, I make my students engage in some comparative constitutional cases to highlight this point, so that they better understand the American Constitution by placing it in perspective. In a similar vein, James Baldwin wrote about how he discovered what it meant to be an American only when he left America and lived abroad in Paris. He began his essay, Discovering What It Means to Be an American, quoting the novelist Henry James, a Boston Brahmin from a distinguished family that included his brother, the Harvard philosopher and psychologist, William James. James's rarefied world was a world away from the poverty Baldwin grew up in Harlem, where, incidentally, he attended Frederick Douglass Junior High. Much like Douglass before him, he discovered a path to freedom and self-understanding in books. As Baldwin wrote, this perpetual dealing with people very different from myself caused a shattering in me of preconceptions I scarcely knew I held. He encountered people whose sense of reality is entirely different from his own. The crucial point for Baldwin, largely self-taught like Douglas, was that he came to see things from another point of view, and this forces the writer to reconsider many things he had always taken for granted. This is the crucial hope of liberal education. It can give you a deeper understanding of the world and a deeper understanding of yourself. Now back to living in our historical moment. We don't know what's next, but we do know that the challenges we face are not as overwhelming as what others have faced in the past. Just think of Frederick Douglass. The uncertainty and disruption we're experiencing can take an awful human toll. It can also push us to think about things anew, forcing us to rethink our assumptions. The mindset we nourish by way of liberal arts education will give us the reason, character, and humanity to make it through this time. If we can harness the talent and energy of our students, we will come out of our current moment better than we went in. I am, in fact, most hopeful about the future when I think of the role CMC students will play in shaping it. So in the face of uncertainty at this historical moment, let us see the possibility. Welcome to the new year.
We're the sons and the daughters of Claremont McKenna, and proud of our famed alma mater, with friends of our youth seeking wisdom, seeking truth, we will lead on from Claremont McKenna. We have crescit cum comercio civitas as our motto at Claremont McKenna. We always will be part of dear old CMC, ever loyal to Claremont McKenna.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. This is my first time giving a speech to so many people in different time zones, so I figured I should cover all my bases. I want to warmly welcome my peers, faculty, staff, trustees, alumni, parents, and most of all, the newest members of the CMC community. Welcome class of 2024 and our new transfer students. I never could have imagined that I'd be delivering a speech like this from my childhood bedroom. Honestly, it's a little strange to have my stacks of textbooks and tax returns next to my Legos and YMCA trophies. Despite being a little disoriented, I am optimistic about what this academic year holds. If the past few months have shown me anything, it's that CMCers are not quitters. In fact, let me tell you a little bit about who we are. For one, we're innovators. Just last week, I spoke with a student who spent his summer developing custom 3D printed face masks for hospital workers across the country. Within the college's many working groups and committees, I'm constantly impressed by students who creatively develop ways to make our community more accessible and efficient. 2. We're advocates. Many CMC students have stepped up in the past few months in the fight against racism in our country, from leading protests to sharing resources online. In June, the 5C student governments teamed up to raise over $50,000 for 5 nonprofits that are combating racial inequality. 3. We're scholars. Whether it's hosting speaker series, tracking down the election year, or the effects of the pandemic, our research institutes generate a ton of academic work that's respected and utilized by experts throughout the world. And while we have brilliant faculty at the helm of these projects, it's the students who are on the ground, grinding data analysis, conducting interviews, or scouring papers. The students are the ones that make it all happen. Behind all the work that we do for the world, perhaps the most important characteristic that defines us is that We're family. As I enter my last year as a student, I can tell you for sure that the friends and mentors I've met at CMC will be cherished for the rest of my life. That being said, being an older sibling for 17 long years has taught me that even the most loving family will experience conflict from time to time. CMC is certainly not perfect. Our own institution has benefited from systems of oppression, and it's our responsibility to confront and correct that. As a student leader, this is the greatest change that I can hope to inspire, and I'm grateful for all the leaders before me that have helped pave the way. My biggest hope is that in 3 years, one of the first years that's listening now will be delivering a similar speech, reflecting on all the progress that the CMC community has made since you first arrived. As an institution, we should always look towards how we can make our community more inclusive and accessible. Being family means we're willing to work together, better each other, and support our members, even through the toughest of times. The journey ahead will definitely not be easy, but I'm so excited to share this moment with you now. To the staff, faculty, and trustees, I hope you'll join me in my commitment to make CMC the best that it can possibly be. To the class of 2024, welcome to this beautiful community of innovators, advocates, and scholars. Welcome to our family. Thank you, and best of luck this year.